face in your face.
Hello everyone, we are starting week 15 of the Euroleague. Today, there are exactly 5 games. Before we get to the matches, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Friends, our first match today is Fenerbahçe Beko, Monaco. Fenerbahçe had a 6-game winning streak but suffered 2 consecutive tough losses. The defeats against Milano and Baskonia were far from their usual identity this season. But in the last match, they reacted with a win against Real Madrid on the road and regained their morale. Nigel Hayes-Davis led his team to victory with a fantastic 33-point performance. More importantly, Nigel Hayes-Davis and Wade Baldwin played effectively together when they shared the court, and Kem Birch also made a good contribution during his time on the floor. Monaco, on the other hand, after a tight loss to Olympiacos in the first part of the double-game week last week, came back to win comfortably against Alba Berlin at home in their last match. They started the game with determination and managed to pull away in the first half. They played with an exceptionally high shooting percentage on 2-point attempts. Also, every player on the team contributed to the score, and they had assists from 10 different players. For Fenerbahçe, Scotty Wilbekin, Devon Hall and Deshaun Pierre will miss this game, and Artur Jargas will also be unavailable. On Monaco's side, Nick Kalathis and Alpha Diallo are out. Furkan Korkmaz and Muhammadou Jaite's playing status is uncertain. Monaco lost in overtime to Paris last weekend after leading by 19 points. Fenerbahçe showed a reaction on the road against Real Madrid, but they can no longer afford to lose at home. I expect a high-scoring game with both teams reaching the 80s, and we'll see a minimum of 161 points. Next, we have Alba Berlin, Partizan. Alba Berlin secured their first away win of the season last week with a victory at Virtus Bologna. However, I had mentioned that this win shouldn't be used as a reference before their Monaco game. Indeed, they lost by a big margin to Monaco, and regardless of the result, they were never competitive. We saw an Alba Berlin team that offered no defense. Partizan, after a 6-game losing streak, has bounced back with 4 consecutive wins. In the double game week last week, they didn't make any mistakes in their 2 home games. They won comfortably against Panathinaikos in their last match, with 7 different players contributing 7 or more points each. Carlik Jones has been in great form lately, scoring a lot, and his performance has directly reflected positively on the team. Alba Berlin has ongoing injuries with Justin Bean and Will McDowell-White, and Luis Olinde's status is uncertain. On the Partizan side, Gabriel Lundberg, who has missed recent games, is still out. Partizan, who has found their form and is on the rise, cannot afford to make mistakes in this match. I believe Partizan will win and continue their winning streak. Next, we have Baskonia, Virtus Bologna. One of the tough games of the day. Baskonia, after a 5-game losing streak, managed to breathe with victories against Zalgiris Kaunas and Fenerbahçe. In their last match, they lost badly to Bayern Munich on the road. It was an interesting game, though. Baskonia was in control for a long time, and even had an 8-point lead at the start of the third quarter. But in the final moments of the game, a 13-0 run by Bayern Munich allowed them to take control, and Baskonia lost. Chima Moneke and Marcus Howard combined for 44 points, but it wasn't enough for victory. Virtus Bologna, on the other hand, has suffered 12 losses in 14 games and has dropped to last place. Last week, in the first game of the double week, they lost at home to Alba Berlin, which was a big disappointment. They also lost to Red Star at home in their last match. After the defeat to Alba Berlin, they changed their coach. However, Duško Ivanović, who took over after Luka Banchi, couldn't be on the bench for the Red Star game. He'll be on the sidelines for Virtus Bologna in their Euroleague match tonight. Baskonia's Timothy Luawu-Cabarrot is still injured. Virtus Bologna has no missing players. As mentioned, this is one of the tough games of the day, but I expect both teams to start effectively on offense. We may see a high-scoring first half. My suggestion, first half over 81.5. Next up, we have Bayern Munich, Maccabi Tel Aviv. Bayern Munich has won all the games played in their new arena this season and continues with a perfect 7-0 record. After losing to Red Star and Anadolu Efes on the road, they didn't make any mistakes in their last home game against Baskonia. Although they were trailing by 8 points at one point in the third quarter, they made a 13-0 run at the end of the quarter to take control and won the game. Carson Edwards, Andreas Obst, and Devin Booker combined for 63 points. They shot very well from beyond the arc, with 13 three-pointers made by 7 different players. Maccabi Tel Aviv, however, is having a tough season. As we mentioned in all our preseason videos, we were expecting a season like this. With their current roster, Maccabi Tel Aviv is going through a difficult period. They have 9 losses in their last 11 games. Despite some additions to the team, they haven't managed to turn their season around. They won their first away game at Alba Berlin, but last week, in the double game week, they lost both of their games in Belgrade. In their last match against Barcelona, they had a 16-point lead at the start of the third quarter, but ended up losing. They are struggling to stop their opponents defensively. Bayern Munich will be without Shabazz Napier for this game, and Vladimir Lucic's status is uncertain. Maccabi Tel Aviv will miss Rivero and Roman Sorkin. Bayern Munich, who has averaged 96 points in their 7 home wins this season, will likely score in the 90s again at home. I believe Bayern Munich will reach the 90s once again at home. Our final game of the day is Real Madrid, Zalgiris Kaunas. Real Madrid has been inconsistent since the beginning of the season. They have 8 losses in their last 14 games and only 6 wins. They found morale by getting their first away win of the season in the El Clasico against Barcelona. However, in the double game week last week, they lost both games. They were defeated dramatically at Asvel with a last-second basket. In their last home game against Fenerbahçe, they lost by a large margin while shooting poorly on 2-point attempts. When Facundo Campazzo is ineffective, Real Madrid struggles to produce offense. They regained some morale with a big win over Malaga in the domestic league over the weekend. Zalgiris Kaunas, on the other hand, has lost 5 of their last 7 games. They had a good start to the season, but they have been on a decline in recent weeks. In the first game of the double game week, they lost to Partizan in a close game, but in their last match, they defeated Anadolu Efes at home. Lonnie Walker, Sylvain Francisco, and Davidas Cividis led the offense for the team. Real Madrid has no injuries ahead of this game, but for Zalgiris, Thomas Dimsa and Dovidas Giedraitis will miss the game. Real Madrid, who is looking for a rebound, may not inspire confidence, but after 2 consecutive losses, they cannot afford to make another mistake against Zalgiris. I believe Real Madrid will bounce back and win this game at home. I have reviewed all the EuroLeague matches for today. Don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. Good luck.